your operations feel messy, inconsistent, or just plain chaotic, this is for you. Welcome to the beginner's guide to build a process map for your small business in 2025 using 5 easy steps. Most small businesses hit a point where things just stop scaling. Leads fall through the cracks, tasks get repeated, or worse, forgotten. And everyone's just trying to figure it out as they go. That's where a simple visual process map comes in. In this video, I'll show you how to build one using just 4 basic shapes. No fluff, no jargon, no extensive knowledge and process mapping required. You don't need to be a systems expert. If you can draw boxes and arrows, you can do this. And by the end of this video, you'll know how to create a clear process map from scratch, learn how to use swim lanes, and turn that map into a real-world workflow your team can actually follow. This is how you bring structure to your operations and scale what works. Let's get into it. 5 steps we'll cover in this video. Step 1, define the start and end points. Step number 2, map out each step in the process. Step number 3, assign accountability using swim lanes. Step number 4, convert your map into a task checklist. And finally, step number 5, wrap it all into a standardized playbook. Let's dive in. So to build a process map, you need 4 shapes. That's it, 4 shapes. First, we'll start with an oval. And the oval indicates where we start our process. But then we also use an oval to indicate where we stop our process, right? In addition to the ovals, we'll use a rectangle, and the rectangle really defines our process in between the start and stop of what we are doing. It identifies the step-by-steps that we can use in our process so we can get to where we're going through our process from start to finish. Decision is more of an if-then branch. So if, let's just say, it is the right decision, if yes, the customer wants to go with us, we go this direction. If they don't want to go with us, they go the opposite direction. And we just map that out through our process. Finally, we use an arrow to connect our shapes together. And that's pretty much it. Now, I'm here on Lucidchart. It works amazing. It's a process mapping tool. It does a bunch of other things, but what we do here at Elefante RevOps is we use Lucidchart to map customers' processes. So we use Lucid. We have used Miro in the past. Works just as well. But you can also use Google Slides, pretty much any sort of software that you can draw shapes or draw on. Like, go ahead and use that. In addition, if you don't want to use a software tool, use a whiteboard. So whiteboards work just as great. Really, all we need to do is create a visual representation in a simple way using these shapes. So grab a piece of paper if you'd like as well, a whiteboard, Lucidchart, or Miro, or Google Slides, whatever you prefer. And that's it. So those are the shapes that you need. Now, let's hop into it. Let's start mapping. Step number 1, start and end. Let's bring a real example. Meet Alex. She runs a SaaS company, and her sales process, it's all over the place. Some leads are followed up, some are forgotten. Everyone's winging it. Step 1 is about defining clear boundaries. In Alex's case, the process starts when a lead submits a demo request and ends when the deal is marked close won or close lost. Without start and end points, you're not building a process, you're just describing chaos. Going back to our shapes here, so I'm simply going to take the oval shape, start, I'll add here. So I'll say this is demo request. And then I'll take this oval shape and I'll put it right here. And we'll say closed won. And then I'll just create another for closed lost. And that's it. We've completed step 1. Let's jump into step 2. Step number 2, map the steps. Going back over here to our Lucidchart or your whiteboard or your Miro, whatever you're doing your process on, whatever you're mapping your process on, we're going to go into our process. So first thing I'm going to do is grab the rectangle. I'm going to throw it right next to demo requests. So if I think about this as a business, I'm Alex, I'm a SaaS leader. What is the first thing that is going to happen after a demo is requested, right? So in most cases, we would have an SDR or maybe a BDR, a sales rep, whatever you want to call it. We're going to have the SDR send out an email to the lead that just sent in a demo request, right? And then I just did that really fast, so I'll back up here. So then I'm going to click on this oval. I'm going to click this arrow, and then I just connected the oval and the rectangle together here. So demo requested, a sales rep receives the new lead inside of the CRM, then the SDR will send out the email. All right, what's the next thing? So SDR sends out an email. The demo is SDR sends out the email. The lead answers the email, opens up the email, and then a discovery call is booked. Next, I'll add one more step in here. So we have discovery call booked. What would be the next step? Let's see. Discovery call booked. Then we have a qualified lead. So on that discovery call, the SDR should be doing the proper qualification, asking the right questions to see if this is the right lead or not, right? So after that, we have a qualified lead. So once we have a qualified lead, then we want to send our proposal. Send proposal. So very simply, we have this now, right? So we're towards the end of our flow here. So add an arrow. Once we get to the end of our flow, this is when the decision happens, right? So we sent the customer a proposal. Now we're just waiting to hear back from that customer. So one of two things can happen in this case. So the customer can either decide to go forward with us and be an active customer with us, which in that case would be yes, close one. And then the second outcome would be no, they did not decide to go with us, so close last, right? So that is it. That is step number 2. Map the steps in between start and stop. And so if you did this, you're well on track to completing your process. So let's hop into step number 3 now. Step number 3, add swim lanes. So let's go back into our Lucidchart, your Miro, or your whiteboard, whatever you're doing, and let's add some swim lanes so we can understand who is accountable for what. Cool. So this is the original simple process that we outlined here. If I scroll down, I put together these swim lanes. So these swim lanes just represent who is accountable for what, or what actions are actually happening in our process, right? So the first row, or the first swim lane that you're seeing here, is more client facing. So this is what's happening in the front of the office. We're interacting with the customer. We're driving certain actions forward with the customer, more client facing, if you will. The bottom row here is more administrative or back of the office. So actions that are happening, maybe automations that are happening in our CRM, or anything like we have to update data or enrich our data in our CRM, make sure that we're really adding the information that we need inside of our records and our CRM so we can track things properly, right? So that's back of office versus front of office, and we're segmenting these actions in the process so then we can clearly understand what needs to be done on the front forward facing versus in the back end in our CRM, what we need to update, right? So starting at the beginning of the process, we have a demo request. We have a lead that submits a form from a demo request. That lead is then entered into our CRM. So now we're in the back end of back of office, more administrative. We can use some sort of logic to understand if this is the right lead based on what they submitted on the form. Maybe we have some certain questions, some logic there, asking those qualifying questions. We then send out an automated email saying, you are a great fit. Please book a time on my link here so we can get a discovery call going. So then the lead books a discovery call. Then at that point, the sales rep on that call is going to determine if the lead is qualified or not. So that's when we come down to this decision branch, right? So is the lead qualified? And if the lead is qualified or not qualified, we'll start there. We simply add a close loss reason inside of our CRM so we can understand why that lead was not qualified, right? This can be an open text box or a drop-down or multi-select as a property. I suggest doing a drop-down or multi-select so it's easily measurable when you're looking at your reporting and understanding if there's a pattern in the leads that you're bringing in, maybe from your marketing team. Like if you're bringing in the wrong ICP, it's better to have a drop down that has consistent data rather than a single line text where sales reps can add different information every single time, which makes it very hard to measure, right? So we add the close loss reason, then we just add it into close loss, right? And it ends there. So if the qualified lead is yes, the lead is qualified, then we want the sales rep to update the deal record. Maybe that information that we're updating is what the customer's budget is, when they're looking to get started, maybe understanding their situation a bit more, like why is this solution a good fit for them, all that information, enriching the deal record, right? So then we can report later on and understand later on in our future reporting if it is right or not. Moving on, so after we update the deal record, the sales rep then creates a proposal and sends that proposal out to the customer, right? So at that point, the ball is in the customer's court, and so the customer has two options in this case. So first option, they can sign. Second option is that they don't sign. If they do sign, they become a close one customer. Great. If they don't sign, they become close lost, and that's pretty much it. So understanding front of office, back of office, and if you've done this, then you have completed step number 3, adding swim lanes. So congrats. Let's move on to the next step. All right, step number 4, turn your map into a checklist. So Lucidchart's great, visualizations are amazing, but we need to consolidate everything that we just drew into a checklist so that we can assign it to the right people to get the job done so that our process is clear, right? So how do we turn a process that we just mapped into a clear, actionable checklist? Let me show you. Going over here, I am using another project management tool called ClickUp. There's others out there that you can use, like Monday.com. Teamwork is another good one. Asana is another really good one. But I like to use ClickUp. They all work the same. Basically, you just need to assign tasks. You can do this on a piece of paper if you like, whiteboard if you want as well. But if you have the budget for it, I think it's free for a certain extent. But try out ClickUp, try out Monday, whatever you prefer. They're pretty much all the same thing. Let's get our checklist in place, right? So looking at our process, our first step, we have demo requests. What needs to happen in that process for us to add into the checklist, right? So maybe the first step would be create demo request form, right? So there's one task. We also want to assign that task. I'll assign it to myself in this case. Now, what would happen after demo request form? After we create the demo request form, we go down to sending out an automated email. So let's create email copy from demo request form. Now, take a note, every time I create a task, I'm using a verb. So whenever you start with a verb in creating a task, it drives action forward. If you didn't have create here and you just had email copy from demo request form, it's not very clear as what action you're trying to drive. So every time I create a task, I always try to keep in mind having a verb. So create, build, delete, remove, whatever the verb is, it helps drive action when creating these checklists, right? So back to our flow chart here. So we create the email copy from the request form. Maybe we need to create workflow automation to send demo, to send book a demo with me email. So I'll add that in there. Then maybe we have to create a demo or a discovery call meeting link, right? So I think you get the point. I'm moving from left to right, from start to finish, and I'm adding all the tasks in there and thinking through what we need in between each of the steps to get the thing that we're trying to do done, right? So as I proceed forward through all of this, I'm just going to continue adding tasks and thinking in detail, what tasks do I need so I can get this job done, right? Once you have done that, and you started from demo request all the way through here, you've done it, right? You've done the job. So once you've completed all that, that's it for step number 4. Taking your map and creating it into a checklist, very simple, right? And that's the whole point. We want to keep it simple. We want to keep things simple enough so that they're effective and actionable, especially starting out, right? This is just the beginning. So we want to keep things simple as much as we possibly can. And yeah, that's it for step number 4. So now let's jump into step number 5. Step number 5, build a standardized playbook. So now that you've just created this whole process from start to finish, you've identified the steps in between start and finish, it's now time to take all of that and consolidate it into humanized words, terminology, into a single document on how to execute the sales process that we just outlined. Heading over here, share my screen again. Here's the process that we just outlined, our sales process here. And then to the right, I just created a simple note here, and then I hyperlinked sales process playbook. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on this link. Now, simple as that. I have a document outlined for Alex's sales process, Alex's sales playbook. And here are the following things at the very least that you need in your playbook so that it's very easily digestible for that new sales rep that comes on board to understand the sales process from start to finish in a simple document, right? So the first thing is we want to add the process name and the purpose of this document. Next, we want to add who's responsible for what. And then we also want to add what done right looks like. And finally, we want links to tools, templates, scripts, checklists, anything that is relevant to our sales process that we just outlined. We want to throw in this document so that it's all here for that new person that comes on, and all the tools are there for them to be successful. So that's it for step number 5. All right, quick recap. Build a process map takes 5 simple steps. Define start and end, map out each step, assign accountability with swim lanes, turn it into actionable checklists, wrap it all into a simple shareable playbook, and now you have a blueprint to stop duct taping your operations and start scaling with clarity. Because at the end of the day, you can't improve what you haven't mapped. Want more sharp tools like this? Subscribe for more practical processes, strategies, process clarity, and battle-tested RevOps advice. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.